Hi, I'm Roman,
And I'm Caitlin.
and
And
together
together,
we're
we're going to
gonna have
have
a
a
hundred
hundred
Disney
Disney
adventures
adventures
of
of
a
a
lifetime.
lifetime.
Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the Walt Disney Family Museum. Now, I did not get to attend this, but you did, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad that I went. I've been to San Francisco so many times and somehow never was able to go. Um, but I'm so glad that I went. It was so much fun. I wish you were there. I think you really would have liked it.
So, before we go any further, I have to ask, he's not from San Francisco, is he?
No, he is
So,
not.
why is there a museum in his name in the middle of San Francisco?
And in fact, he never lived in San Francisco. But that is a great
Has
question.
he ever been to San Francisco? Where is the Disney in California? Is it in San
Anaheim.
Francisco? How close to San Francisco is Anaheim?
Not close. It's
Okay.
near LA.
I was
So
grasping for some type of connection.
no, I too was completely confused until I did more research. So the whole reason why they his daughter was the one who decided to put the museum in San Francisco.
Mm.
So
Is she still alive?
she died,
Oh.
Diane Miller Disney, and her son Walter Elias Miller Disney, or I don't know if he had Disney in his name too, but I feel like they kind of all do. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, he they decided to open the museum because they wanted to honor the Disney family
Mm.
and Walt specifically. So they decided to open it there, and it opened on October 1st, 2009. So it has been there for some time.
Mm.
It's in the Presidio area of San Francisco, if you're familiar with the area. Um, the hours are limited, so it's only open Thursday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
Why? That's so random.
It is really random. I don't know if it has to do with like maybe it's like a nonprofit situation.
Mm.
So maybe it's just like taking the volunteers.
So, this museum,
Yeah.
excuse me, is it a big museum? Is it a small museum? Describe it, because I haven't seen it. I haven't heard anything about it.
So it's bigger than I thought. It's not the size of like a Smithsonian or anything like that. But there are 3 floors in it. So when you walk in, then you were greeted at the front desk, and all the staff there were really wonderful. Every person, I was there with 2 of my really close friends who are really not Disney fans. They were just
Mm.
in it because they love me, which and in case all of you out there are not seeing a trend, as you can see, pretty much nobody else in my life loves Disney the way that I do.
But we all love you, and that's why we're there.
Exactly. But yeah, so we walked in and it was like the nicest people there. They were so welcoming. They were willing us to show us all around. And on the first floor, you get to see like a lot of like awards that Walt Disney won throughout his lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
including what my favorite one was his honorary Oscar that he received in 1938, I think, 1937 or 1938 for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, with the one giant Oscar and then the 7 tiny ones.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was so excited to see that. I assumed that it would have been like in because there's like an Oscars museum
Mm-hmm.
down in LA somewhere. So I thought that it would be at the Academy Award Museum, but
Mm.
no, they had it here. So that was awesome to see.
Does he have a handprint on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
Hmm. I don't know. Let's
Mm.
see. Disney.
That's in California, right?
Yeah. I don't think he did.
Mm. Was it
No.
not made in time? Maybe, I don't know.
No, I think that they were there.
They
I
had
just don't
movies
think.
back then, right?
Yeah. But there are like a
But I guess
whole.
he's not an actor, so
No, but he did. I wonder if. That's interesting. But anyway, so no, those were not there.
oh, okay.
But they did have a lot of his different awards. And then the first floor is really dedicated to his early life. So it talks about, where he was born in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about the time that he spent serving in the war, in World War I. He was an ambulance driver. I had no
Oh,
idea.
I had no idea.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
So it just kind of goes into some detail about like the behind the scenes of his early life and kind of talks about not just him. It has some really good information about his parents and his siblings, which was really cool to see. Because I think a lot of times, like that will just get glazed over
Yeah.
if you're reading a book about Walt Disney or watching a documentary.
I didn't even know he had siblings.
Yeah, yeah, a couple. So yeah, that was it was really awesome. And then you go up an elevator, and the
Hmm.
elevator is themed like a train. It's very like Hogwarts Express.
Mm.
And then it's supposed to signify his long train ride from the little city to LA, you know?
Hmm.
So you go up to the second floor, and then that's really when it starts talking about kind of all of his work that he started, like Laugh-O-Gram Studios and all of his early Disney work.
Mm.
And it kind of just takes you through, like, it has a lot of letters, it has all types of memorabilia, pictures, his early artwork,
Hmm.
which was really awesome to see. And um, pretty much you name it, and there's probably a section about it there. I was blown away.
Hmm.
I really was. Yeah, they had one of the very first drawing of Mickey Mouse. They had that on display there. So of
The
course,
official Mickey Mouse or the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse?
the what do you mean?
Like, because Mickey Mouse wasn't the first version, right?
Oh, are you talking about Oswald,
Or yeah, Oswald.
the Lucky Rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they had Oswald drawings there too.
Mm.
But then they also had Mickey Mouse.
Do they do anything with Oswald these days, or is he kind of just forgotten?
I think he's just chilling.
That sucks.
I mean, I'm assuming like Disney owns the property
Oh, I'm
for
sure they
him.
do.
Although that's probably been 100 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he also might be public
Public
domain,
domain.
but I'm not 100% sure.
Mm.
Maybe they've renewed them recently. I don't know.
I don't know.
So yeah, and then it goes into like the story of the movie, his early animation, and then into like the movie. So it talks about like the seven dwarves, and then into the other early movies, and kind of just like how the animation changed throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it has like, oh, it had I'm going to get the name wrong, but it had that camera that
The one with the three,
the
like the
force
depth one.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
they had that
Wow,
there. It was so cool looking.
that is pretty cool.
Let me see if I can find the name of it. Um, the multi-plane camera.
Mm.
Yeah, so they had that there, which was really awesome. And then, so you walk through the area of the animation, and then you go through another section, and it had his toy train that he had in his backyard, the one that he rode on, the Lily Bell,
Mm-hmm.
named after his wife, obviously,
Obviously,
as one would know. But
his
that
wife's name was Lilybell.
her name was Lily.
Oh,
I mean, maybe her middle name was Belle, but
Lillian Bell.
Lillian, Walt and Lily. Um, but yeah, it was so cool to see that in person. Like
Mm.
it looked so good to this
Yeah.
day, even though it's whatever, like 70 years old or something.
Wow.
But it was incredible. And then they also had a I'm not sure what the ratio was, but they had the original Disneyland
Mm-hmm.
laid out.
Like a model.
Yes.
Wow.
And it had all of the details on it, and kind of like what he was thinking. It has all the information about like where he wanted all the stuff to be, the Jungle Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of time looking at
So
that.
you said it's about 3 floors or something,
Yeah, it's 3 floors.
and so how long were you there for?
We were there for like an hour and a half.
Okay.
And of note, so of course I'm a huge Disney fan. So I was reading like there were so many plaques,
Mm-hmm.
so many
Back to back plaques.
back to back plaques. and, every type of reading little nook and cranny. So I pretty much read all of it. But of note, my friends, Sarah and Silvino, who were there with me, who are not Disney fans, they said that they also had a really good time and
That's
they
good.
learned a lot.
Mm.
They're like, oh, I had no idea that that was Disney too. And so that made me feel like this isn't just for the like
Right.
live and die hard Disney fan. This is also for a lover of history and animation. And it really shows all the work that he put in the field. He really changed the game
Mm.
for any type of, not only child's movie, but the animation game forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then it also, at the bottom area of the museum, it also talks about like the different directors that they had.
Mm.
And so you can like learn a little bit more about each of them. And I think at some points they have like special what's it called? Like not features, what's it called when there's like a
Like guest
section?
stars,
No.
special requests,
No, like at
special.
a they have specific exhibits that I think come around during
Mm.
certain times.
Oh, like a timed exhibit type of deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
where it's like only during certain
Right.
months or years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's something that's kind of like ever evolving and changing, which is kind of cool. I would love to go back again and see if there's something new or something different. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's also a cafe there, so you
Of
can get some
course.
snacks.
Do they have the giant turkey legs?
No, they
Oh,
didn't have any Disney themed
no Disney
foods.
food.
No, it was just like basic cafe,
Mm.
like some coffee, some tea, some
That's a missed
croissants.
opportunity. They
But the
could have
people
had like
there were nice too.
Disney snacks throughout the decades.
I mean, that would have been a great exhibit. I would
Mm-hmm.
I would pay money just to see that,
Exactly. A paid exhibit. Make that money, Disney.
right? They're missed opportunity for
Exactly.
sure. And then they have a really great gift shop, which
Mm.
I spent way too much money at. But again, some of the stuff, like they had some books there about specific artists. So they had one, it was a artist book that was all dedicated to the art from Sleeping Beauty. I
Mm.
almost bought it, but it was
Oh
$75.
no.
So I decided, maybe not this time.
I was gonna ask a question about Snow White, but never. I know now that they're not the same movie.
Oh my gosh, look at you
Yes,
evolving.
yes.
Look at you go.
Even though I'm still not 100% convinced.
Well, not until we watch Sleeping Beauty and then you'll know.
Mm,
But the
mm,
funny thing is that my friends also had a lot of questions and they're like, "Oh, I had no idea that this was a Disney movie."
yeah.
And there was all like different music and stuff they were playing. They're like, "Oh, I had no idea that this was like
Hmm.
a Disney thing." So, I think that, that's that unless if you have somebody in your family who's obsessed with Disney, then I
Hmm.
do think that yeah, a lot of that stuff might get missed.
Did they have? Because I remember when we were watching Snow White, you said that they didn't have the original, like the casting. They weren't. What's the word? They weren't like noted on the film, like who played
Oh,
who.
yeah.
Did they have that information there or no?
I mean, it didn't really go into that. I think that it was more about like Walt's contribution
Mm,
to it. It did go a little bit into after Snow White.
hmm.
There was kind of like a I don't know, like they were picketing and they're protesting outside of the Walt Disney Animation Studios in Burbank
Mm,
because the writers and the painters and the artists, they felt like they weren't being fairly
credited.
credited and paid for their
Hmm.
work. So it does go into a little bit about that. They also had some of that like World War II propaganda
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and that was very eye opening.
I'm surprised that he was a. You said he was an ambulance driver.
Yeah.
I thought he would have been like a propaganda artist or something,
Well,
like
this was
a
in World War
artist.
One
Mm,
that he was serving
hmm.
because he was.
How old was he? I have no concept of like his age when he was alive or anything like that. It was like who was that artist who died in the 80s? What is it, Picasso or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how I think of Disney. Like I don't know when he existed.
Yeah, he was a Red Cross ambulance driver in World War One.
Mm.
So yeah, in World War Two, he was already making,
Hmm.
like, Disney was already a company. At that point, Snow White
Right.
had already come out. He was already working on several other movies at that time.
Mm.
So yeah, a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, he was old. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. But yeah, I think it was a really great experience, and I would give it a 9 out of 10
Hmm.
to go. Like, I'm surprised more people don't talk about the museum.
Well, I think for one, it's in such a weird place. When you think about Disney, like the man, you don't think about what was it, LA?
Hmm.
You don't think about LA. You think about
Oh no, that he lived in LA, the
or where was the museum?
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
You don't think about San Francisco. You think about like the places he lived or the places that there's a theme park. So I think that might have something to do with it. It's just such a weird location.
And even locals. So I talked to a couple people who live in the area who've lived in San Francisco their entire life, and they said that they had no idea that there was a Walt Disney Museum there.
Yeah.
And they all said, they're like, why?
Yeah.
Why is it here? It doesn't make sense. But also, the other thing that's kind of cool about it is that it's in such a great location that they have events there as well, and it
Hmm.
overlooks the Golden Gate Bridge.
Mm.
And the day that we were there, it was like the most beautiful sunny day I've ever seen in San Francisco. Like I said, I've been there multiple times. Every
Hmm.
day it's cold and foggy. I've never seen the sun in San Francisco until this time
Wow.
that I went. And as a venue, just in and of itself, it's just gorgeous to walk around.
Mm.
And the Presidio is in a very beautiful area of San Francisco. There's other museums that are in the area of where this one was, and then
Mm.
there's a beautiful park, and then the Golden Gate State Park
Right.
is over there as well. But yeah, I definitely would recommend people to go there. The price, I think it was like around $30 to get in, so it is a little bit pricey.
Well, you also have to include because if you're not a native, you have travel costs, right?
That's true.
So then for you, you happen to be in the area
Yeah.
and then you went to the museum. But for me, I would have had to flown to California, had accommodations, and then bought the ticket. So what would you rate it if you weren't already there? If you were still home and you were planning this trip, would it be one of the worth it events to go out there just for this?
Hmm.
Putting you on the spot.
Ugh. I mean, if you're a Disney fan, I could see that. I don't think that I would plan an entire trip to San Francisco around it,
Hmm.
but I would recommend if you were going to San Francisco
Right.
to do whatever. I mean, enjoy San Francisco because it's a beautiful city. And then if you had a free day, and I would dedicate about 2 hours there. I think the other thing is that there's not a lot of parking in the area. So we were very fortunate that my best friend's husband, he was able to drop us off there.
Mm.
And so we didn't have to worry about parking. But if we did have to find a parking spot, I don't even know how we would have done that because there's not ample parking there. It's still in a city. Um, but yeah, once you do get there, and like when we were there was maybe 15 other people in the
Hmm.
museum, which that was the other thing that shocked me. Yes, it was a weekday, but I assumed there would be more people there.
Right.
Honestly, I was assuming that we were gonna have to wait in line like every other Disney anything I've ever done.
Hmm.
But
Get a
shockingly,
fast pass for the museum.
that's what it felt like because yeah, we just kind of walked in and they just gave you like some information. And yeah, and again, I cannot stress enough that like every person that we came in contact with there, from the front desk employees to the some of the like caretaker people to the people working at the gift shop and the cafe, everybody was so like nice and just helpful. We had some questions about a couple of things and they were so willing to, give us extra information. And they kept on there. Thank you guys so much for coming out. And, everybody was just very genuine and
Mm,
very kind. So,
that's good.
some Disney magic,
Yes.
even in San Francisco.
Even in San Francisco. I just
Yeah.
think of like how you said it, so it was kind of out of the way. I think of that Titanic museum that was in Florida.
Oh
The
my
Titanic
gosh.
museum in Orlando. It's like, why is this here?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was the vibe that I was thinking, like when we were
Yeah.
pulling up, and it's a very like it's just like a brick building, and
There's
there's
not like a giant Mickey Mouse or something.
no,
Really?
you don't see any Mickey Mouse until like when you're well into it. It's
Wow.
just a brick building, and it has like the sign isn't even like embedded on it. It's just like one of those vinyl type
Really?
signs. I know, and it just says like the Walt
It
Disney.
could become a spirit Halloween at any day.
It could, yeah, a Walt Disney Family Museum.
Wow.
But I mean, it's interesting too. I think it's probably gotten a lot bigger because, like I said, when it was started in 2009, and here we
Hmm.
are in 2024. So I'm sure that it's taken a lot of time to kind of get it to where it is now.
Right.
But yeah, just the pure amount of history that you can see there and experience is
Hmm.
just incredible. And there is a little bit of everything. I don't know if it would be something that a kid would enjoy.
Mm.
I don't think that like a
It's
5 or 6 year
right.
old, I don't think that they would enjoy it.
It's more plaques and information than it is like bright colors and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
some of the the artist renderings for some of the early like Disney cartoons and stuff, they were creepy. Like a couple of them I was like, oh dear, like
Mm.
this is
Not for you. I
no,
mean, when
no.
you think about it, have you seen the pictures of like the original Mickey Mouse mascots?
Yeah,
They are creepy.
right, right.
They're very, and the kids are just sitting next to them like, but if you don't really have anything else to refer it to or refer it against, then I guess it's not creepy at that time, right?
Yeah,
Like I want to see what it's gonna be like in 100 years from now, what their animatronics and their mascot characters walking around the parks are gonna look like. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna
yeah,
be robots at that point, right?
right. I think that they're already like in the testing phases of those types of
Yeah.
things, like the what
Like,
is it, the Superman, or I mean
mm-hmm.
the Spider-Man,
Oh
or
yeah, the
the
Spider-Man robot.
yeah, that
Well,
does like backflips in the air or
even when you
whatever.
go to Galaxy's Edge in Star Wars, and
Mm,
it's like they have the droids going around.
yeah,
So I mean, I'm sure one day they're gonna look back at our stuff and be like, oh, there was a person in that.
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, just with the technology changing so
Right.
much, I do wish that they went into a little bit more detail about the other theme parks.
Mm-hmm.
It does a good job touching on the basis of Disneyland, but again, the reason for that might be because that's the only park that Walt Disney ever got to see.
Mm.
Like they had already bought the property. Oh, it did have the famous picture that I showed you at Steakhouse 71 and
Mm-hmm.
the Contemporary, where Walt and Elias are on the Walt Disney
Mm-hmm.
property
Yeah.
in Disney World, or
Yeah.
the Orlando
The one
property,
in yeah.
the Orlando project. um, so that was kind of cool to see that picture, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was explaining that to Silvino and Sarah as well, and they also had no idea that
Yeah.
like the historical importance
I
of
feel
that.
as though the historical side of Disney is not really discussed
Yeah,
unless you look for it.
yeah,
I don't know if maybe they don't want to take people out of the magic of Disney, but yeah, I don't think until we did the tour and the things like that,
hmm,
I hadn't heard of any of and even just now, I didn't know he was even in World War I.
yeah,
Was he over there, or was he? I mean, I guess if he was an ambulance driver, he must have been over there.
yeah,
Wow, that's interesting.
yeah. And I also think that like he wasn't the only one. I'm pretty sure Well, now I'm confused about the timing. But
Hmm.
like Stan Lee, he was also
Hmm.
in the war, and I believe Ted Geisel, who was Dr. Seuss,
Hmm.
I think that he was also part of the war. I'm not sure which one. I think World War
I
One.
don't know. I couldn't
Don't
tell you.
know, but still, they served, so
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, out of the 100 adventures of a lifetime,
yeah.
how high would you rate this one? Must do, could do, should do if you're in the area.
Um, I mean, I would rate it as a must do.
Okay.
I really loved it.
Hmm.
I was very impressed with. I didn't know that there was going to be so much memorabilia in there,
Right.
and I was really picturing it just to be like a one room kind of, I don't know, random smatterings of information about Walt that you
Hmm.
could probably find on Google. But what I found is that there was a lot more detail, and that, again, the amount of memorabilia that you can see, and it had like some of the old merchandise in there as well. So yeah, I would recommend it.
Good.
So yeah,
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this shorter episode. Hope you learned some stuff like we did, or at least I did.
yeah.
Um,
Let us know in the comments below if you've ever been to the Walt Disney Family Museum or if you plan to go. And tell us your thoughts below.
or let us know about any other weird one-off museums, like a random Titanic museum in Florida.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We'd love to go. We'd
Yes.
love to know because we want to go.
Yes. Exactly.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.